A very good evening to all my dear students. On behalf of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, I welcome each one of you for today's session, that is LVRC revisionary classes, and we will be revising chapter number 4, Share Capital and Debentures. So I hope you all are doing well and you are really preparing well for your exams. In the last session when we met, we have completed prospectus. Before that, we have already done chapter number 1 and 2, that is preliminary and incorporation of companies. I hope no doubts in the previous chapters. And today we move ahead on chapter number 4, that is share capital and debentures. So let me just open my presentation for all of you. Good evening, all of you. Lokesh. All right, Lokesh, we will check it out why the PPT is not visible to you, because all the PPTs have been uploaded on the portal. So I will just get this checked. Ram is writing, I need more clarity while revising in the morning as a science student. It is confusing at times to learn about the paid up capital and shares, redemption, etc. So it's absolutely fine, Ram. It's not just for a science student, but even a commerce student at times get haywire because there are so many terms and so many things that you have to learn and retain and remember. And in any case, if you're giving both the groups, then it's not just the law theory, you also have theory in auditing. So again, consistency is the key to success. Keep making short notes. And also, if you're having a doubt in the keywords, like in remembering, like you said, redemption and these share premium. So like today's chapter, share capital and debentures, we'll be doing. So when I was a student, what I used to do is I always used to circle the keywords, important words, so that even if I'm flipping through the pages, some days I don't feel like studying. So if I'm just flipping through the pages, running the context through your eyes when you have marked it yourself, or even small points that you have written by your hand, it also gives you immense confidence, because ना आपको एक flip of an eye पे याद आ जाता है कि हाँ, I have marked this and I have written this. So ये छोटी छोटी practices करते रहा करो. Keep writing down your notes, keep trying the question and answers, and keep circling the points in the study material. Keep using highlighters because you know where are the important terms and other things mentioned. And today we'll be discussing n number of questions related to share premium redemption. So your doubts will get clear. Anybody else having any doubts? So I have certain questionnaire for all of you since it's a revisionary. So we'll be doing number of MCQs and case study questions for out of the chapter share capital and debentures. But as I always feel that the student should be given some background and history and revision of the chapter that we have already done earlier. But yes, a quick run through of certain important things will be beneficial for you. So let me just open up the content. So if I ask you the first question related to share capital and debentures, how many types of share capital do we have? In the chat box, everybody has to answer. How many type of share capital do we have? 2 types of share capital. That's wonderful. So one is equity, one is preference share capital. Great. And when we talk about the equity share capital, it is related with the voting rights, having uniform voting rights or the differential voting rights. However, preference share capital always carries the preferential rights on 2 things, payment of dividend and repayment of capital. So let's have a quick recap of DVRs, because I will be taking up certain important topics with you and then asking you questions related to that. So what do you understand by DVRs when you have done differential voting rights? Can we give DVRs by issuing special resolution? Yes or no? Or there is need of something else? For issuing DVRs, very good. Ordinary resolution is required, authorization by AOA, and the voting right in respect of DVRs shall not be more than 74% of the total voting power. Now, 5 defaults. I want you to tell me what all defaults the company should not has made if it wants to issue a DVRs. Anyone who would like to raise their hands and answer me this question? If you remember in DVRs, what defaults you should not have made? You should not have defaulted in filing financial statements and annual return for 3 immediately preceding years. Number one, you have not defaulted in payment of dividend. You have not defaulted in matured deposits, payment of preference shares, redemption of debentures, and you should not have defaulted in paying the dividend, repayment of loans, statutory payments, and also crediting the amounts to IEPF funds. So Companies Act says that one side you're issuing differential voting rights, you're giving different voting rights to shareholders and extra percentage of dividend, but make sure that you're not a defaulter. If you're defaulting, making the prepayments to the outsiders, then you better don't issue DVRs, then you're not allowed. All right. And also the company should not have been penalized. Penalized means कोर्ट या ट्राइब्यूनल में उससे कुछ पेनल्टी नहीं लगी होनी चाहिए फ्रॉम द लास्ट 3 years अंडर आरबीआई एक्ट और अंडर सेबी और सिकारा एक्ट फेमा एक्ट. It should not have made any kind of defaults under these kind of acts. Now, if there was a company which wants to issue DVRs and it has defaulted in payment of dividend on preference shares of its companies for the year 2021, and then, okay, not 2021, it defaulted in the year 2006, and after that this company paid the arrears of dividend in 2010. Now this company in 2025 wants to issue DVRs. Can this company issue DVRs? It has defaulted in payment of dividends of preference shares. In 2010, it rectified its mistake. Then in 2025, can it issue the DVRs? Excellent. Yes, ma'am, because on the expiry of 5 years from the end of the financial year in which the default was made good, company can issue equity shares with differential voting rights. So once you have rectified your mistake, 5 years have passed from that, then yes, you can issue the preference share. Rajveer, Ram, Krishna, Goel, Lokesh, everybody is giving the correct answers. That's great. All right, so that was a quick recap of DVRs, and it seems you all have been studying really well and answering well. That's great. Also, you remember about the notice and the explanatory statement. I hope everyone remembers that this has to be sent to the members when you're issuing DVRs. Now, certificate of shares was very, very simple topic. Anyone has any doubt in section number 46? So if your certificate is mutilated, it's torn, then you will be issued a duplicate share certificate, but it has to be proved. Okay, you have to prove this thing. Evidence has to be given that the original share certificate that has been issued to you has been lost or it has been destroyed. In case it has been torn, defaced, mutilated, then the company can issue the replacement and surrenders the original certificate. What was the time period? Remember the time period for issuing the certificates? It is 74% of the total voting power for DVRs, Mr. Ram, not 75%. Okay. Time period is, if it is a listed company, within 45 days of the submission of complete documents. And if it is an unlisted company, then it gives you more time, 3 months time period is given. All right. Then share certificate was quite a simple topic, and this is your penalty. If anybody is trying to defraud and issue the duplicate share certificates, then 5 times the amount of the face value of the shares involved, or maximum the fine can be 10 times of the face value of the share, or 10 crore rupees, whichever is higher. Also, you're penalized under section 447 if you are defaulted in the duplicate share certification. After that, we had voting rights, that is section 47. It's a very, very simple section. I'll do one more section and then we'll go to the question answers round. So what is the meaning of variation of shareholders' rights? Do you remember that the shareholders' rights can also be varied? Varied means change owner. क्या शेयर होल्डर के राइट्स को वेरी करा जा सकता है, चेंज किया जा सकता है? यस, अंडर सेक्शन 48, यस मैम, वी कैन वेरी द शेयर होल्डर वोटिंग राइट्स. Variation of the rights can be done if three-fourth of the consent of that class of shareholders is taken or SR has been passed. If we have just passed the SR and three-fourth of the consent is not taken, then it's fine. Yes, Krishna Goel, absolutely good. Is it fine if we have just passed the SR and not taken the consent? Yes, ma'am, then it's fine. Either of one of the things should have been done. And then if this variation of one class of shareholders, say for example, I am trying to make changes in the preference shareholders' rights, and this is really affecting equity shareholders also. Do we need the consent of this class of category of shares? Yes, ma'am, three-fourth of the consent of this class of shares is also required. So preference shares whose rights are being varied, unka three-fourth of the consent and SR both will be choice. But here the shareholders which are being affected because of this variation, only their three-fourth of their consent is required. No need of passing the SR. All right, Kajal Yadav, Ram, Rajveer, everybody has given the correct answers. Good. After that, what was the provision of dissenting shareholders? Was there any dissenting shareholders? Yes, ma'am. Those shareholders who are not happy with this variation, at least 10% of the issued shares of that class, if they did not consent, they can apply to tribunal within 21 days, and tribunal will take the final decision, and copy of the order has to be filed with the registrar within how many days? Within 30 days. तो generally जो registrar के पास copy document submit होती है ना, that is within 30 days of the order. So if such a kind of question comes in the MCQs और आपको एकदम से दिमाग में नहीं आ रहा, तो safer side 30 days वाला registrar के साथ most of the time 30 days होता है. Very good. Rajveer has also answered the refund. Refund has to be given within 15 days. For what refund? Those who are dissenting, those who are not agreeing to the this variations, right? Good. Now, after that, there was uniform basis shares that have to be issued. This was very, very simple. Section 4950 also talks about your calls in advance. If it has been made, the voting rights accordingly will be given, and interest on advances can also be allowed. Section 51. And issue of shares at a premium. Can anyone tell me 5 uses? So there is a difference between issue price and the face value of the shares. That is the security premium amount. If I have issued the shares of rupees 100, I have issued for 120. So 20 rupees is the securities premium, and it will go to the securities premium account. Tell me 5 usage of the security premium account. I've closed the slide so that I know. Bonus issue. Okay, Krishna Goel, first one. Preliminary expenses, buyback, writing off. Very nice. So writing off preliminary expenses, issuing the unissued shares of the capital, premium payback back on redemption, buyback of securities, and writing off the expenses. Well done, students. You all remember all the points, so that's great. So Lokesh, Krishna Goel, Rajveer, Kajal, Ram, Rajveer again have answered all the points correctly. Keep answering, students, because that gives you a practice and confidence when you're writing down and answering back. Now, first question there in front of you on the screen, Growmore Limited share capital is divided into different classes. And now it wants to vary the rights attached to a particular class of shares. Explain the provisions of the Companies Act to Growmore Limited for obtaining the consent from the shareholders with respect to such variation of rights. Now tell me one thing, are you going to explain entire section 48 or you'll give them the briefing? If it is a 5 marks question or it's a 3 marks question, you have to write in detail about section 48 because that is what he's asking you about the consent from the shareholders, whether it is required or not. So what will be your major answer? Yes, consent of 3/4 of the share capitals, not and Ram or. अभी दिखाया ना मैंने section 48 में or. It's not and. So variation can be made First of all, you'll tell them that yes, variation is possible only if 3/4 of the shareholders by the means of special resolution passed by the general meeting of the holder of that shares. If this variation is also allowed in memorandum, then only you can do. If it is not there in the memorandum or such variation is not prohibited, then only you can do. And if it is affecting the other class of shareholders, then 3/4 of the consent of other shareholders is also necessary. That's it. And then cancellation of variation also you'll mention where the holders of not less than 10% of the shareholders are dissenting shareholders. हमने अभी बात करी थी. They can also go and make an application in 21 days to the tribunal, and tribunal will pass the orders and order has to be filed with the registrar. Okay, everybody has read the answer. So your 15 days dissenting shareholders related to prospectus, Rajveer, it's not here. Clear, everyone? Shall we move to second question? All right. So first, I'll show you the questions and judge your knowledge whether you know that or not. Walnut is an authorized share capital of 1 lakh equity shares of ₹100 each, an amount of 3 crores in its share premium account. The board seeks your advice about application of share premium for its business purposes. Please give your advice. Now you tell me this thing also. 5 uses you have already told me for the share premium amount. Also tell me, was there any kind of exemption for the shares premium? Was there any kind of exemption also for any kind of company? Was there any exemption also? Yes, if it follows section 133, excellent. So you will tell them the amount that, like I just explained you, sum equal to the premium received will go to security premium account. It can only be used for these 5 things. And it is a very important question. Once it came in your advanced accounts paper, also the same question, and also in the law. So such topics which are common in both the places, you must learn them because you have an advantage of answering them in either of the paper. So it can be used for issuing the unissued shares to the company, to the members, and for writing the preliminary expenses and writing of the expenses of commission or discount, providing premium payable on redemption, and also for buying its own shares. That is buyback of securities under Section 68 can also be done. However, and you will write this point. ये तो लिखना ही है ना, हमने security premium में learn करा हुआ है हमने कि if you have been complying the accounting standards of section 133, then for issuing unissued share capitals, writing of expenses, and purchase of own shares can also be used. Hence, keeping in mind these points, they can utilize the amount of security premium account. Everybody is clear about this point? All right. Next question in front of you on the screen. Can the company issue differential voting rights? If yes, what are the conditions to be satisfied? So again, you will give all the rules of differential voting rights. We have just discussed that the company can issue differential voting rights. Can anyone tell me what is the meaning of differential voting rights? Yes, security premium and share premium is one and the same thing. That's correct. What is the meaning of DVRs? When we talk about DVRs, DVR होता क्या है? क्या होता है इक्विटी शेयर्स का DVRs या फिर यूनिफॉर्म राइट्स? Very good, Trishna Goel. Like for one share, you get more rights, and also the rights will be lesser. Okay, for 100 shares, you get 1 vote. That is fine. Plus, you also get additional rate of dividend. Very good, very good. So, what are the conditions? Briefly, if we write AOA authorization, ordinary resolution is required, and should not be more than 74% of the share capital. Company should not have defaulted in the filing of financial statements. फिर अगले 4 पॉइंट आपने याद रखने हैं. डिपॉजिट्स, प्रेफरेंस शेयर्स की पेमेंट में दिक्कत नहीं होनी चाहिए. लोन्स वगैरह रीपे करने में दिक्कत नहीं होनी चाहिए. IAPF अकाउंट में ट्रांसफर करने के लिए दिक्कत नहीं होनी चाहिए. पेनल्टी नहीं लगी होनी चाहिए पिछले 3 साल में. एंड ऑल दीज पॉइंट्स हैव टू बी केप्ट इन माइंड. एंड ऑल्सो इफ एनी डिफॉल्ट हैज बीन मेड, 5 years should have passed from which the revolt was made. ठीक है बेटा, तो ऐसे डायरेक्ट स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड क्वेश्चंस कई बार आ जाते हैं एग्जाम में, तो आप तभी लिख पाएंगे अगर आपने लर्न करा हुआ है. अगर हमने लर्न ही नहीं करा होगा कंटेंट, देन इट बिकम्स वेरी वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू अटेम्प्ट द पेपर. Now I give you 2 minutes. Read the question very carefully. Very interesting as well as important question. Two types of different types of questions have come in the exam. Read the question and then I'm going to ask you the answers for this. Mr. A is having 520 shares of Open Sky Aircrafts Limited and acquired these shares from Mr. A, but the signature of A, the transferor, on the transfer deed was forged. Company registered the shares in the name of Mr. B by issuing a share certificate. Mr. B sold these 100 equity shares to C on the basis of that share certificate issued by Open Sky Aircraft Limited. B and C are not having any knowledge about forgery. Tell the rights of Mr. B, C, and A. However, 500 shares were acquired by Mr. Amit and signatures of Mr. Manoj, the transferor, was forged. Amit got the shares registered, sold 250 shares to Mr. Abhi on the strength of the share certificate issued by ABC. Amit and Abhi are not aware what are the rights and liabilities of Manoj, Amit, and Abhi. Can you just imagine how the examiner is giving you similar questions in the exams at times just by changing the names, just by changing the number of shares, but वही question है जो पेपर में आते हैं. तो अगर हमने प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस ध्यान से करे होते हैं, आरटीपीज एमटीपी सारी एक बार रीड करी होती है, पढ़ी होती है आपके साथ, तो टीचर आपको खुद पढ़ा रहा है एलबीआरसी में, हम आपको खुद दिखा रहे हैं ये इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस है, इनको रिवाइज करो, समझो. So if you do all these kind of things, no one can stop you from clearing your exams, children. It's not that heavy also. It is heavy, it is hard, but consistently practicing, doing all these questions practice. See, if examiner gives you just by changing names, आपको तुरंत याद आ जाएगा कि आपने एक क्वेश्चन पढ़ा हुआ है, अगर आपने चैप्टर लर्न करके ध्यान से क्वेश्चन पढ़ा हुआ है. Now let me see how many of you have answers. Just 2 students are actively answering. Okay, Ram and Krishna, very good. Rajveer, very well tried. So what we have to answer over here is, here it is talking about the share certificate once issued under the common seal. If the company is using, if the company has no common seal, then 2 directors or by director or company secretary has to sign it, specifying what are the shares held. And section 46, I just now told you some time back, it is the prima facie evidence that you are the holder of the shares. In the normal course, person named in all the practical cases is the legal owner and cannot be deny his title. मतलब अगर मैंने शेयर सर्टिफिकेट पे लिखा हुआ है सीए हरलीन कौर, तो माना जाएगा कि हरलीन कौर ही इसकी ओनर है. ये नहीं हम कह सकते कि मिस श्रुति या मिस्टर सिद्ध इसका ओनर है. नो, जिसका नाम लिखा है उसी को ओनर माना जाएगा. अब ये हमने कहाँ पढ़ा था फोर्जरी का? हमने ट्रांसफर ऑफ शेयर्स में, ट्रांसफर एंड ट्रांसमिशन जब हम पढ़ते हैं वहां पे हमने पढ़ा था कि फोर्जरी इज नलिटी. इट विल नॉट गिव द राइट टू ट्रांसफर मिस्टर बी any title to the shares transfer made by Mr. B to Mr. C will also not get a good title, as the title of the buyer is only as good that of seller. ये कहाँ पढ़ा हुआ है आपने? Remember, sale of goods are, you cannot pass a better title than what you have. So Soga already told you that if you are not the owner, you cannot make the other person also the owner. आप तो कभी ओनर थे ही नहीं, आपने फोर्जरी करा है. So when forgery has been done, that means the buyer has not got the valid transfer and he cannot make the further transfer. Therefore, the company will act on this forged transfer and remove the name of the real owner. Who was the real owner? That is Mr. A, from the register of members, and company is bound to restore the name as the holder and to pay him any dividends which he should have received. Barton versus North Staffordshire Railway Company. This is the case which we have done when we were doing the classes. A has the right against the company to get the shares recorded back in his name. Neither B and C have any right, even if they are bona fide purchasers. A seems to be the creator of the forgery. He will be liable both criminally and also compensate both B and C. Now, if it is a 4 marks question, we expect you to write this kind of a story over there. Okay, you will have to explain the points. You want to see where it is given in the book? So, section number 56, when we did about the transfer and transmission, then we had this specific point related to forgery. I don't know whether it's here or it's in the book. Okay, tell me the page number on the book. I'll show to others also. Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely, you can get marks. No, there is no need of writing section 57 for this question. Section 57 typically talks about your personalization of things. Now, I'll just open the chapter from study also. एग्जाम्पल नंबर 11 में आई थिंक ये दिया हुआ है. So this is your transfer and transmission of the shares. Have you found forgery over here? So transfer always happens by a proper instrument, that is a transfer deed. However, transmission happens by the intimation that has been given in case of death, insolvency, or leniency. Finally, we have found this. In case the demat process becoming the necessity, companies are required to do the dematerialization of the security so that the chances of forgery are very thin and almost negligible. So again, 447 also become liable if you're transferring the shares with such kind of intention, which we have already covered in the chapter prospectus. Anyone having any doubt related to transfer and transmission of shares? Because we are now on this topic. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Yeah, the name of the case. Now, what will happen if the transferee of forged documents is done? This is given on page number 4.40. So personalization of acquisition of securities is an offense under section 38, which is punishable under 447. जो हमने previous chapter में पढ़ा था, section 34, 35 के बाद हमने 36, 37, 38 पढ़े थे. Similarly, any cheating done by personalization again will be punishable under the Indian Penal Code also. A forced transfer is nullity and is not legally binding. It takes place when the company does any transfer of shares on the basis of containing the forged signature of transferor. Is it possible for the transferee to acquire ownership? No. He will not get the ownership. यहाँ पे लिख लो, जहाँ पे लिखा है he will not get the ownership because only a person who is holding a valid title can pass the ownership. Transferor, who is the real owner of the shareholder, and accordingly, the company can be forced by him to delete the name of transferee and restore the name as the owner of the shares in the register of members. What will happen if the transferee transfers the shares to another buyer? अब यहाँ तक तो जो इसने बताया, इसने वो वाला बताया जो ए ने बी को करा. ये जो इसने बताया है वो बताया है जो क्वेश्चन में बी ने सी को दिया. If he has already transferred to a new person who does not know about the forgery and company registers it in the name of new buyer, that is C, and endorses it further, company cannot deny the ownership rights of new genuine buyer. It can also not deny the ownership rights of original shareholder because forced transfer is always void ab initio. Company will have to restore his name. While restoring the name of original shareholder, company may be asked to compensate the new genuine buyer. ये जरूरी है. आप उसे पैसे तो दे सकते हो ना. आपने उसके साथ, उसे तो पता ही नहीं था इनोसेंट बायर है, तभी तो वो बार बार क्वेश्चन में भी लिख रहा है he does not know anything about forgery. Because he has exercised good faith in purchasing the shares, company may get itself indemnified by the first transferee who used the forced transfer document to get the shares transferred in his name. So any kind of forgery, if you are doing, it is not allowed. It is a criminal offense, and then action will be taken against you. The name of the original shareholder will be restored, and you might be asked to pay the compensation to the person who has been an innocent buyer. Clear? Everybody is clear on this? Okay. Let's do this question. Yellow Private Limited, sweat equity shares. You all remember sweat equity shares before doing this? Do you want to revise sweat equity shares or it is good to go? Tell me. You want to revise sweat equity shares फटाफट से पहले या सीधा ही क्वेश्चन करोगे? Okay, good, Krishna. Then solve this question. Everybody. Write your answers in 3 different paragraphs: provisions, facts, and the conclusion. Everyone should write the answer to this. When you get such kind of question in the exam, you should quickly take up in your mind what all provisions you have learned about sweat equity shares, because you have read the topic, you have already learned about it, and then try to fix up what is required over here. So don't give me this kind of answer that it should not exceed this much percentage. I want the answer, child. That is what we are learning. How will you write? Anybody would like to raise their hand and explain me what will you write in the provisions of the case over here in this question? How will you try to attempt this question? So Yellow Private is an unlisted company which was incorporated in year 2012. Company has share capital of 50 crore rupees. It decided to issue sweat equity shares to its directors and employees. First of all, directors and employees को कर सकते हैं, yes or no बताओ. Directors and employees को sweat equity shares issue कर सकते हैं, yes or no? Others sleeping in the class. Okay, thank you. Now I can see the response. Company decided to issue 10% of the sweat equity shares, which will add up to 30% of its paid up capital with a lock-in period of 5 years, as it is a startup company. Justify these facts in relation to provision of sweat equity shares by a startup company. Was there anything in sweat equity shares that you have read related to startup company? कुछ था क्या अलग से? वो क्यों कह रहा है startup company? कोई exemption थी या कोई point था क्या startup company के लिए? बताइए. Okay, there was a percentage. And what was the percentage for 30%? For 10 years, okay. 50% for the startups up to 10 years. Absolutely correct, Krishna Goyal and Ram. Good, Rajveer. Very well tried. Yes. Dhruti, excellent. And lock-in period for 3 years. Okay. Special resolution, Nagaraja. I can see now students coming up. Very good. So how are we going to justify these facts now? Let's see. So section 54 to बहुत मुश्किल है, that you'll remember in this while doing exams. If you'll remember, okay, children, one very important thing. If you remember the correct section, write it. Otherwise, leave it. What do we write otherwise? What have I taught you? As per the provisions of Companies Act 2013, company can issue sweat equity shares to its directors and permanent employees. Word तो use करो जो सीखा हुआ है आपने. Permanent employees is the word. A startup company, as defined in notification रहने देना, may issue sweat equity shares not exceeding 50% of the paid up capital up to 10 years. Absolutely correct. तो ये दोनों चीजें आपने लिखनी है. Then lock-in period is for a period of 3 years. After you have given these provisions, you do your analysis and conclusion. Company can issue sweat equity by passing SR. If it is a startup, it is right in issuing 10% as it is the overall limit is within the limit of 50%. But the lock-in period is maximum 3 years from the date of allotment. उसने क्या दिया हुआ है आपको? 5 years. तो आप बताओगे maximum 3 years is the lock-in period. Clear हो गया सबको? Any doubt in sweat equity shares? Anything else that you remember in sweat equity shares? Since we have spoken about the topic of sweat equity shares, it's my duty to show you sweat equity shares also. Rectification of registers. Before this only we had a section 54 का sweat equity. So this was your sweat equity shares that we have done in detail in the class. It should be shares already issued. SR will specify the dates. Pari passu, everybody remembered. What is the limit? So somebody was writing 25%. बेटा वो buyback का है. यहाँ पे क्या था maximum limit? 15% of the existing paid up equity shares or 5 crore, whichever is higher. However, it shall not exceed 25% at any point of time. But for the startup, it should not exceed 50% up to 10 years. Everybody has written this answer beautifully. The lock-in period is 3 years. And what was the treatment of non-cash consideration? चलो ये भी बता दो. Okay, Nagaraja, I will check back, please, with the technical term. I don't know why the notes are not uploaded. I have already shared the notes. I will check with the technical team. Okay. It should be issued within. Very good, Dhruti. Excellent. Yes, non-cash consideration. What will be the treatment? Now, since you have issued sweat equity, your credit side has got increased. How will you show the balance? Either you will expense it in a profit and loss account, or if it is a non-cash consideration, that is a depreciable or amortizable asset, then you show it in the balance sheet. Okay, then register forms we are not doing because it's a revision. We are not supposed to do the forms. Who is the permanent employee who has been working in India or outside India, or a director of the company, or an employee defined either of subsidiary or holding in India or outside India? All right. Now, preference shares can be issued for maximum how many years? Preference shares can be issued for maximum how many years? 50 years, 30 years, 10 years, 20 years. MCQ देगा आपको. तो ध्रुति ने देखो 30 years बोल दिया फटाफट से. For infra, it's 30 years. Yes, Krishna, Goyal, Ram, and Rajveer and others, Lokesh, everybody's correct. Dhruti, okay, correct, except for 30 for infra. So it is for 20 years time period. For infrastructure, if for infrastructure projects, it can issue for 30 years, provided what was the condition? 10% of the annual preference shares annually, beginning from the 21st year, should be getting redeemed at the option of the preference shareholders. And how can the preference shares be redeemed? Can it be redeemed out of the fresh issue only or anything else also? How do we redeem the preference shares? Come on, children, this is your advanced accounts chapter that you have done so nicely. Just out of the profits, Ram says out of the profits. Or out of the profits. What is security premium, Krishna Goyal? What do we redeem out of security premium? Only the premium amount we pay out of the profits or security premium. But otherwise, issue of preference shares, जो redemption हो रहा है, Yes, Krishna Goyal, absolutely up to premium amount. The balance can be redeemed from the profits or proceeds of the fresh issue. They should be fully paid up shares. And what is CRR? कितना पैसे CRR में जाएगा? Only if it is redeemed out of profits, the nominal value of the shares to be redeemed shall be transferred to a reserve known as capital redemption reserve. It shall be maintained accordingly with the paid up share capital and can be reduced like any other paid up share capital. But redemption of preference shares is not reduction of company's authorized share capital. Remember this line. CRR can be reduced the way company's reduction of share capital happened, but redemption of preference shares is not a reduction of share capital. Very good, Dhruti. Correct answers. What will happen if the company is not able to redeem the preference shares or is not able to pay the dividend? What will happen then? If the company is unable to pay the dividend or is not able to redeem the preference shares, then 10% of the 3/4 of the unredeemed preference shares will file in the tribunal. Approval will be taken on the petition filed, and the tribunal will allow them to issue the further preference shares. And this issue of further preference shares shall meaning to be deemed that the preference shares have been unredeemed preference shares have been redeemed, provided the tribunal who orders the redemption who have not consented to the issue further preference shares. So I have written a hint over here that example number 11 in the study material is important. We can revise that. All the examples given in the study material are very, very important. So Bell Homes Furniture Limited is unable to redeem the preference shares. Therefore, they decided to issue further preference shares against unredeemed preference shares. Holder holding 93% of such unredeemed gave their consent, and tribunal also gave their consent to issue. The 18 holders who own remaining 7% seek redemption of preference shares held by them. So here, while giving the approval under Section 55, Subsection 3, Tribunal will order the redemption forthwith of the shares, 7% in the value held by 18 dissenting shareholders. What will it do? So the 10% of the shareholders who are not agreeing, now they can also seek the redemption. So accordingly, they will be known as the dissenting shareholders, and their judgment will also be given for the order passed for the redemption. Clear? Everybody is clear on this point. Now let's proceed ahead. We have already done this point, sweat equity shares. All right, now this different type of questions, three different type of questions have come in the exam. I would request you to do this, Mr. Nilesh. Do this question number 6. Everybody should do this. Everyone should write the answers for this question. Or you can raise your hands also and answer me. Yes, you can read तीनों question पढ़ सकते हो, but can answer me the first one because you have to use the names. Nilesh has transferred 1,000 equity shares of Perfect Vision Private Limited to his sister. Miss Mukta, the company did not register the transfer and also did not send the notice of refusal, or Miss Mukta discussed the provisions whether the aggrieved party has any right against the company. So I give you a hint, this topic relates to the refusal of the transfer of shares. Nagaraja, Mr. Ram, Rajveer, Dhruti, everybody is giving the good answers. फोर्थ फिफ्थ का मतलब होता है कि आगे जाकर, मतलब कॉन्टिन्यूएशन में. ओके, so it makes a difference. If it is a private company, then the number of days to be considered, and if it is a public company, then the number of days to be considered. So in the answers, suggested answers that we have taken, they have given you a simpler version. The problem is governed by Section 58 relating to refusal to register the transfer, and appeal can be filed. Company has done any wrongful act of not sending the refusal. If it is a private company and if it refuses to register the transfer, then the company will send a notice of refusal to the transferor and also the transferee, or to the person giving intimation of such transmission within a period of 30 days from the date on which it should have been delivered. So that is the period of 30 days. Then what will happen if it is a private company? For the time period, the transferee may file an appeal within a period of 30 days from the date of notice, and if no notice has been received, then 60 days. If the company has not sent the notice, then it can file an appeal within a period of 60 days. So actual answer was, what was the actual answer? That the appeal can be filed within a period of 60 days. Now, in the same question, I want to ask my students, will it make a difference if it was Singhania Limited Company? Then what will be the number of days to be considered? If instead of this Yellow Private Limited or whatever it was, the company, the private limited, if we have Singhania Limited, then will it make the difference? If the refusal is absolutely, then the time period of the dates changes. Very nice. And this is the time period then we have to follow. Transfer and transmission we have revised. This is section 58. If it is a private company, it should send the notice with reasons. Public company can't refuse without sufficient cause. In either of the cases here, if the notice has been sent within 30 days, and he will file an appeal in next 30 days, and further 60 days action will be taken. Here the appeal has to be filed in 60 days and 90 days the action. If no notice has been received, then within 90 days. Tribunal will pass an order that the transfer shall be done within 10 days or rectify the register. And if there is any contravention of such kind of acts, fine and penalty will be charged. Is that fine, students? Is that clear, everyone? So 60 days, 90 days ये important है. MCQs में भी ऐसे questions पूछे जाते हैं. Now, this is a May 2022 question. Okay, children, sometimes now when you see the question and so much of the practical information given ना, तो एक genuine हमारी human nature होती है. Since we have South Indian students also, so I'll talk in English. There is a general tendency of human beings when in a theory paper you see the numerical figures coming up now. Suddenly you start feeling, oh God, I don't know what kind of question has come up. This is not accounts paper. So please remember that out of 4 chapters, there can be questions related to counting figures. You're not supposed to do accounting, but when you read the question very carefully, either you can relate it with share capital chapter, or it will be deposits where you have these kind of figures. It can be dividends where you have interim dividend, final dividend provisions, or at times maybe registration of charges or any reference given for the accounts of companies or all. आप जब ये पढ़ लोगे ना, उसमें क्वेश्चन में लिखा क्या है, एज पर द प्रोविजंस ऑफ कंपनीज एक्ट यू हैव टू कंक्लूड लाइक दिस, और मे बी फॉरेन कंपनीज डेटा इज गिवन एंड ही सिंपली आस्किंग यू व्हाट आर द डॉक्यूमेंट्स टू बी फाइल्ड अंडर सेक्शन 380. So if we have, just don't get scared. At times we have this tendency, so much of the practical information is given, I don't know what is the question has come out. And once, children, you have studied the entire chapters now, and when you sit in front of the exam, things automatically start popping up back in your brain. All right. Okay, wonderful answers given for the previous one, everyone. Now let's move to question number 7. I give you 2 minutes. Everybody frame the answers and also raise your hands if anyone knows that. May 2022 नीचे वाला question पढ़िए. Question is very, very simple. Just think carefully and answer. What are the remedies available for the outstanding preference share? Can the company include the dividend for the issue of redeemable preference shares? Good, good. Use your brains. Yes, Ram, your answers are absolutely correct, but now I'm expecting you all to write provisions and conclusions so that you know how will you write. See, if you'll singly write this line, Rajbir and Ram, that you have written, that is not going to get fetch you marks. So how will you write? Maybe you can raise your hands and explain it to me. How will you write in the exam? All right. Yes, Mr. Ram.
Ma'am, I will just try, ma'am.
Okay, not a problem. At least you're trying.
As per the provisions of Company Act 2013, a company can issue further redeemable preference shares of the unredeemed shares, which are equal to the amount due. In the relevant case, Silver Robotics Limited is unable to redeem its existing preference share amounting to 10 lakhs
Mm-hmm.
and which are due in next 2 months. So,
Okay.
uh, so conclusion will be the Silver Robotics Limited can issue further redeemable preference shares of unredeemed shares which are equal to the amount due, and such unredeemable preference shares are deemed to be
Can
redeemed.
deem to have been redeemed. Very good, Ram. At least you have tried it. Very well tried. Good. So let me see and read the answers for all of you. So nobody mentioned in the chat box also, and neither you have mentioned, Ram, that whenever the company is not in a position to redeem, then it shall issue the shares with the consent of 3/4 of the value of preference shares and with the approval of tribunal on a petition filed. This is a mandatory thing that you have to do. Okay, and then with the further issue of redeemable shares equal to the amount, including the dividend thereon. Okay, including the dividend in respect of unredeemed preference shares and on the issue of further shares unredeemed shall deem to have been redeemed. Here, tribunal, while giving the approval, will order the redemption forthwith of preference shares held by persons who have not consented to issue the further redeemed preference shares. Is that clear? So that was also quite justified what Ram has said. The only thing is, conclusion is very simple, but the consent of these things have to be written. So you say that Silver Robotics can initiate the steps for the issue equal to the amount that is rupees 10 lakhs. For this purpose, it will take the consent of 3/4 of the value of shares and also see. मतलब देखो वही बातें लिखनी है. वही चीज provision में है, वही conclusion में. The same thing that you have written in the provision has to be a part of conclusion, but the only way of expressing yourself is important. There are certain preference shareholders who have not conformed to their consent. The tribunal may order them to redeem their preference shares. So Silver Robotics must be ready with sufficient funds for redemption held by those who have not consented. On issue of further redeemable preference shares, the unredeemable preference shares shall deem to have been. Means now I'm not having a funds, my company is falling insufficient funds, and now once I issue more preference shares, it will be considered as the unredeemed has been redeemed. Means now you have got the fresh redeemable preference shares, the timing period, and everything will start from this day. So we have had a quick recap of section 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, and then 50, 51, 52 till section 54 also done, 55 redemption, 56 we have done. Personalization of shareholders, we have already discussed that in section 38 also. Whenever it is happening, punishable under 447, and also the fine is there. Okay, personalization means actually you're not the owner of the security, but you are deeming to be, you're trying to be acting as the owner of anybody else's security. Section 58 also done. Rectification of register of members. Section 59 simply tells you that if the name of the person is entered in the register of members or has omitted or unnecessary delay has been made, he can simply go and file the application for the rectification of the register to the tribunal or the competent court. The tribunal will give them chance and direct the transfer and transmission for a period of 10 days to register their name, and also the rectification of the records shall be done. All right, so section 58 is in 59 is in continuation of section 58. Now these 5-6 sections and debentures are left for the revision. So let's take a small break here and then we will be starting with the alteration of share capital. All right, so meanwhile, just go through all these sections from the study material and just see if you have a doubt, children. कोई example में, कहीं किसी line में, कहीं पे भी अगर आपको doubt है, you can just write it down in the chat box. So we are taking a small break here. All right, students, let's proceed ahead. Now, whenever we talk about the alteration of share capital, how are we going to? There are five different ways in which you can alter your share capital. One is when you have the power for the limited companies just to alter as per section 61. So can anyone tell me that is this alteration of section 61 and reduction of share capital one and the same thing? Yes, Lokesh, you can type in the chat box, beta, if you want to ask something. Is it the same thing? No. Why? Because it is you are altering your share capital and you are reducing your share capital. So altering your share capital, there are five different ways in which you alter your share capital. If it is the capital clause of the MOA that needs to be altered. So what is the MOA's capital clause? It is the authorized share capital, which can be increased or it can be consolidated and divided into larger parts of shares, or it can be subdivided into smaller parts. Say, for example, the share of rupees 10 can be converted into share of rupees 100 each. So if it is 50 shares of rupees 10, so 500, so it will be 5 shares of rupees 100. Or you can subdivide into smaller parts. It was 100 rupees per share. Now you have divided back into rupees 10. So it depends what kind of alteration you want to make. And also you can cancel the shares which have not been taken up by the public and reduce your capital. And this cancellation is not the reduction of share capital. Very, very important point. After that, section 62 teaches you about the further issue of share capital. So what is it known as? It is known as rights issue. Further issue of share capital, section 62 का मतलब होता है rights issue. It can be given to the holders of existing equity shares. So if the company wants to buy additional securities and they want to give this preemptive right to the existing shareholders that they can buy additional securities in the company. Okay, so instead of raising money from outside, we have requested our own equity shareholders that please buy the shares of the company so that we can increase the further share capital of the company can be increased. So letter of offer will be sent to them. And what is the time period for accepting this offers? Minimum 15 days, maximum 30 days. Can the private company be given less than 15 days time period also? Yes, ma'am. If there are 90% of the shareholders who have consented, less than 15 days time period will also be given to them. Then we have already done the detailed discussion of section 62 and 66 earlier. What is about the bonus shares? Company can issue bonus shares out of what? फटाफट से लिखो chat box में. Bonus shares can be issued out of what? Can we use the revaluation reserve for issuing bonus shares? Can we issue bonus shares in lieu of dividend? No, ma'am, not possible. So only out of free reserves, SP account and CRR bonus shares can be issued. And CRR का तो only purpose यही होता है बेटा कि it is used for issuing bonus shares. Again, the provisions, AOA authorization, board has to give the recommendation, then only the bonus shares are given. Company should not have defaulted in payment of any of the fixed deposits, no default in the statutory payments, and partly paid up shares shall be made fully paid up, then only the bonus shares can be issued. After that, notice can be given to the registrar for alteration. I hope no doubt in this. It is a simple thing. Whenever the alterations are made under different sections, notice has to be given to the registrar that we have altered our share capital. Now, we will come back to buyback and debentures in a while, but let's do certain more questions first from the question bank. So here is a question in front of you on the screen, which is again related to transfer and transmission. So go through the question and type the answers in the chat box. Read the question very carefully. Ramesh is a resident of New Delhi. He has sent a transfer deed duly signed by him as the transferor to his brother Suresh for transfer of shares of Rayan International Limited Entertainment Limited. He did not receive the transferred shares even after the expiry of 4 months from the date of dispatch of transfer deed. He lodged a criminal complaint in the court. Discuss whether the New Delhi court is competent to act in this matter. Who would like to raise their hands and explain us the answer to this one? It's very, very simple question. And we are also revising the related context. It's not that we are just picking up the questions. We are also taking up the content from the study material and from other presentations. Yes, who will take a chance? Ms. Shruti, Mr. Ram, Lokesh, Rajveer, anybody would like to answer this one? Shruti, Kavya, Lavanya, I'm waiting for your answers. Sid, everybody should give their answers to this one. Absolutely fine, Rajveer. It's not at all a competent court as the company is registered in Mumbai. All right, that's great. Then what else? What all you have to give? So first of all, Section 56, Clause 4 of the Companies Act tells you that every company, unless prohibited under law, tribunal, or other authority, shall deliver the share certificates within a period of 1 month. You remember? Transfer and transfer deeds, once you have received 1 month ka time period diya jata hai. But if any default is made, then the company and every default will be liable for a fine of 50,000 rupees. The jurisdiction binding on the company is the state in which the registered office is situated, that is Mumbai. Hence, Delhi court is not competent to act in this case. Do we need to give any provisions of 30 days, 60 days refusal? देने की जरूरत है इसमें? Yes or no? Tell me. Do we need to give any provisions of 30 days, 60 days, public company, private company? No, ma'am. Why? Because it is simply asking you about the time period. 4 months lag gaye, 1 month mein ho jana chahiye. Clear to everyone? All right. Let's discuss the ninth question. Directors of Mars Motors Limited desire to alter the capital clause of the MOA of the company. Advise them the ways in which this clause can be altered. Now, I've just done the quick revision of Section 61 with you. I want you to write the subpoints. 5 subpoints should be written by everyone who is present there in the class. How will you alter the capital clause of the MOA of the company? Tell me. All right, increasing, consolidating. Okay, Dhruti, good. Very good, Ram. Subdividing. Good, Lokesh. Converting, okay, and cancellation. So increase, consolidate, subdivide, convert, cancel. These are the words that you should remember the keywords and then you write the sentences in the exam. So again, limited company, if authorized by its articles, very, very important, will alter its memorandum by increasing the capital, consolidating. No consolidation will result in the changes in the voting rights, okay? Convert the shares into stock and reconvert, and also subdivide and cancel the shares which have not been taken up by the public, and hence diminish the amount of shares. But this cancellation is not the reduction of share capital. Where the company has altered in any of the above ways, it shall within a period of 30 days inform the registrar also about its altered capital clause of the memorandum. Also, the capital clause shall be altered. An ordinary resolution has to be passed. Excellent point, only answered by Dhruti, that OR is also required. Very good. Krishna Goel, very good, excellent. All the points covered. Not SR, it's OR Krishna Goel, baki sare theek. Very good, Dhruti, Krishna Goel, Rajveer, Ram, Lokesh, all those who are actively answering in the class, well done. All right. So next question in front of you on the screen. I give you 2 minutes. Read it very carefully and then write its answer in the chat box. It's a very interesting. Only one answer so far. What about others? Shilpi Developers owed to Sunil 10,000 on becoming the debt payable. Company offered 100 shares of rupees 100 each in full settlement. Said shares were allotted as fully paid in lieu of this debt. Examine the validity of the allotment. So, what is happening in this question, children? So, Section 62, Clause 1, Subsection 1, Clause C tells us where the company is trying to raise its share capital by further issue of share or for consideration other than cash. आपको दिखा देती हूँ पहले मैं टॉपिक कहाँ पर है because okay, yes, the issue is valid, good. But I don't know where have others got lost. So this is the topic which it relates to, children. Section 61 के बाद section 62 के 3 contents आते हैं which we have already studied, but if you're not recalling, I'll have a quick revision and recap with you because that is the purpose why we are having a revisionary. So this is the further issue of shares. It can be done by rights issue or ESOPs or cash or consideration or for cash or non-consideration means other than cash also there can be a consideration. In all these cases, SR has to be passed, but rights issue में SR के साथ मैंने आपको क्या बताया था that an offer letter or notice is also sent which has a time period of 15 to 30 days and not less than 7 days. तो कभी भी नहीं हो सकता. Minimum 15 days has to be there. And if private company has consented in writing 90% of the members, then it can be less than 15. All right. So SR is required to be passed. Similarly, for the ESOPs, SR is required to be passed. And ESOPs, what is ESOPs, children? Do you remember employee stock options? Employee stock options are the options given to the director officers of the holding company also, subsidiary company also, yourself company also, which gives them the right to purchase the shares at a future date at predetermined price. Means I have already determined the price of the share that it will be rupees 10 per share, but at a future date, you can buy them whenever you're comfortable. And instead of SR, OR is required in what 3 cases? Who will tell us? Ma'am, आप ही बता दो. You only remind us. OR will be sufficient if it is a private company which is not defaulted under Section 127 and annual return, IFSC public company, and if it is listed under SIP. If any person authorized by SR should fall under the 2 categories mentioned above, otherwise it is SR only. So OR के लिए सिर्फ बहुत rare private company वाली categories है. Where the shares are issued for cash or consideration other than cash, then again for non-cash consideration, a valuation report has to be taken from the registered valuer. What will be the length of notice period? We have already done 15 to 30 days. However, a new clause has been inserted that at least minimum 7 days should be given. So if a question related to the length of rights issue comes, then you have to write the answer in the same way. Dispatch of the notice shall be given at least 3 days before the opening of the issue. A company listed at Bombay Stock Exchange wants to intend to further shares the issue. The existing member of the company consider such offer is invalid because it is not prohibited in absolute terms while offering the shares to the non-members. It can do by passing SR. New shares may be issued to non-members under certain cases. Is that fine to everyone? Example number 21, just go through if you have any doubt. "94% of the shareholders acknowledging have given their consent." So at least 90% should have given their consent. Here, the number of members is to be considered, not their holding. So 90% of the members, not the shareholding, has to be seen. Mark this important. It's an important question. Then compulsory conversion of debentures from the government can also be done if the government feels that they want to convert the debentures or loans into shares and it is in the public interest. Then as per the terms and conditions, they can raise such loans even if the terms do not provide of the option of conversion. Then also if the government want, compulsory conversion has to be done. Otherwise, if you're doing any conversion or any increase, it has to be authorized by SR. Government will consider the following points, that is the terms of the issue, rate of interest and financial position of the company. And if the government has converted the debentures, MCQ में question आएगा, what capital has been increased, subscribed share capital, paid up share capital or the authorized share capital? Does it need any alteration of memorandum? Tell me. If government has compulsory converted the debentures or loans into the shares, what capital has been increased? Authorized share capital, subscribed share capital, or paid up share capital? And does it need the alteration of memorandum? Answer me. Excellent, Mr. Ram. Answer it correctly. Lokesh, good. Dhruti, good. Rajveer, Lokesh, again, very nice. No need of alteration. Dhruti says no need of alteration. Rajveer says no. Why do you say no need of alteration? ऑथराइज शेयर कैपिटल कहाँ दिया होता है? कॉमन सेंस का क्वेश्चन है बच्चा ये. ऑथराइज शेयर कैपिटल इज गिवन इन द कैपिटल क्लॉज ऑफ मेमोरेंडम ऑफ एसोसिएशन एंड इफ आई एम इंक्रीजिंग माय ऑथराइज शेयर कैपिटल, of course my MOA needs to be altered. Read this line. Authorized share capital will increase by an amount equal to the value of shares and debentures and have been converted, and the memorandum shall stand altered. Very important. That means my MOA now needs to get alteration. So alteration will be the same as you have done. All right, no need to be sorry. It's good that you make mistakes here and not in your exams. Good? All right. So now everybody is clear about the answer number 10. So therefore, since they have issued further shares, such shares are to offer to any person if it is authorized by SR and the price is determined by the valuation report of the registered valuer. In the present case, Shilpi developers to be classified as shares for consideration and then cash must be approved by SR. Valuation report has to be taken by the registered valuer. वही जो उसने ऊपर लिखा, नीचे उसने conclusion में same चीज लिख दी. Clear to everyone? Now again, children section 61 and 62 and 66 are very, very important. So I give you 2 minutes. Everybody will read the questions. I can see everybody is responding back now. It means automatic altered. No, no, we will need to alter, Ram. How can it automatic? MOA is a document. You have to file the application for getting it altered. Okay? Dhyan Diary Limited has to be done. I give you 2 minutes. Everybody that has to write the answers in the chat box. Only one answer so far. Yeah, yes, you can only write the conclusions. All right, good try, Lokesh, Rajveer, everybody. I'm waiting for others to answer, then I will show you the answers. At least try writing the answers, children. Good, Krishna Goyal, excellent. It's okay. Even if you make a mistake, Ram, it's okay. So Dhyan Dairy is manufacturing company. They want to set up a new processing unit, and due to funds need, they have exhausted the existing shareholders are not willing to fund for expansion. Therefore, they have approached Sham Limited for subscribing to the shares of the company for expansion. Can the company issue shares to Sham Limited? और अर्थ लिमिटेड अ पब्लिक कंपनी हैज ऑफर्ड दैट इज फर्दर इशू ऑफ शेयर्स. देखो आपको पेपर में लिख कर भी दे रहा है फर्दर इशू ऑफ शेयर्स के बारे में बात करें to persons other than the existing shareholders. Explain the conditions where you can issue the shares other than existing shareholders, whether these shares can be offered to the preference shareholders. So question number 11, we are going to answer both the questions. Let's try to understand. Here he is trying to tell you under section 62 subsection 1, a company can increase its share capital by issuing the further shares. Yes, ma'am. Either by offering to the existing shareholders, that is rights issue, and giving the date of offer to be accepted on those shares. Or, ma'am, we can do ESOPs. Yes, ma'am, we have just done that. Or to any person authorized by SR, whether or not these persons are included in the above categories, either for cash or consideration other than cash. 62 subsection 1 clause C में आप किसी और इंसान को भी दे सकते हो if the price of such shares is determined by the valuation report which has to be done by the registered valuer. Now in this case, Dhyan Dairy Limited has approached this company. It is neither an existing shareholder nor an employee. So if it is authorized by SR, then yes, they can issue the shares either for cash or consideration other than cash, provided the condition is that the price will be determined by the valuation. From the wordings of section 62 subsection 1 clause C, it is quite clear that the shares can be issued to any person other than existing shareholders who may be preference shareholders. Such issue is authorized by SR and authorization issues conditions are met. तो कहते हैं प्रेफरेंस शेयर होल्डर्स को भी दे दो, कोई दिक्कत ही नहीं है. Are you understanding, students? So sometimes the question is very, very simple and we keep figuring out what we have to write in the answers. So again, let's go back to the thumb rule. If I have revised the chapter, I have read the descriptives, I have gone through the MTPs. I'm not asking you on these last days. Yes, the word preference share confused you. Very good, Ram. At least you know where you're getting confused. So once you have read them, it get fed over here. And when you see the similar question in the exam, you can quickly make out, yes, preference shares का कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. It's just for the mere information that they have given. So yes, what important thing I was telling you, that even if you're reading the questions and the answers, the suggested, that is also fine. With me, you're doing your writing practice also. I'm forcing you, I'm asking you to write again and again so that you know how you have to attempt your paper. But now when you're sitting at home doing your revision, just few days left for exams. So even if you flip through the pages of the chapters and even if just see the MTPs, model test papers, even if you read them, if you're able to correlate the answer that is given, that is enough. That is enough for nowadays. Now the days have gone where you had to sit with your pens and pencils and writing provisions, and that I've quite well made it out from you, all those who are attending the class today, that you're quite well versed with that. You have been practicing. And now your duty is just to रीड दी सजेस्टेड आंसर्स. क्वेश्चन पढ़ा, आंसर रीड करा, क्वेश्चन पढ़ा, और वो करना है. दैट इज मैंडेटरी टू बी डन till you have not completed all the RTPs, MTPs, model test papers, and suggested answers, everything. All right. Maybe in the next class, we'll try to see certain questions from September 25 paper also, so that we can just correlate how much well we have revised and how much we can answer from that. All right. Now, this is a very interesting technical question in front of you on the screen. Just read the question first. And try to raise your hands if somebody can answer it. Yes. Only one. Okay, Dhruti wants to answer it. Yes. Good, Dhruti.
Uh, for section 63, issue of bonus share will applicable. We can issue bonus share out of free reserve, capital redemption reserve, and security premium account. And if we issue 1:3 in the ratio, then we have to issue by 10 lakh rupees, which we can adjust in the amount of reserves,
Okay.
securities
Can we use
premium,
the
and the
revaluation
capital
reserve
reduction.
also? Can we
No,
use?
it is not a free reserve.
Very good. Very good. Excellent, Dhruti. I'm very proud of you. Well done. Good. Yes, Shruti, you also
And
want to say some? Yes, Peter.
and
Good.
for the second question, we cannot raise the amount since it is 15 lakh, which we do not have sufficient amount.
Excellent. So here you get 2 stars from me. Very well done. Good performance.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good. Yes, Miss Shruti, you also wanted to say something, Miss Shruti Tiwari.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening.
Ma'am, I was also saying the same answer, but I was bit later. That's it. The same we have that bonus shares of free reserve, security, and capital redemptions that are of total 12 lakhs, and we can do it for adjustment of 10 lakhs. And in the second point, we have almost of 15 lakhs, but we cannot do it because it's excess than 12 lakhs.
Very good. Absolutely correct. You also get 2 stars from me. So well done. That means you're really being studying very carefully. Well done, both Shruti and Dhruti. Very nice.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good. So let's see how you have to attempt the answers. The girls have very beautifully clarified their points and mentioned it. For those who are still thinking, company may issue fully paid shares. We have just done the revision of section 63 out of FR, SPA and CRR. Revaluation reserve is not used. इतनी सी बस आपने provision लिखनी है and then you have to write this word. ये लिखा करो बेटा, please write this relevant provision, analysis and conclusion. ABC has eligible capital of total eligible amount of 12 lakhs. We have just understood 5 plus 3 plus 4, out of which bonus shares can be issued, and the total share capital is 30 lakhs. So if we issue 1:3, there will be requirement of 10 lakhs more, because 1:3 is 30 lakh का capital का अगर हम 1:3 करेंगे तो it is 10 lakhs, which is within the limit of amount of 12 lakhs. So therefore, they can go ahead with the bonus issue of 1:3 because we have sufficient funds of 10 lakhs we can issue. But if they want to issue 1:2, then there will be requirement of additional how many lakhs? 3 lakhs more because you cannot go ahead. It is not within the requirement of 15 lakh is exceeding the eligible amount of 12 lakhs. So examiner just want to know that you can use any other things? No, you cannot. Very good, Krishna Goel. Very good drafted answer. Beautifully written. Well done. So I'm so happy that you all are performing so nicely. So that's really great. Good children. Bonus shares. Everybody has got bonus points for this bonus shares, huh? All right. So yes, Ram, half a star for you also. You have written the correct answer. But it's very important that we all understand when you write these words, if you have written till here, 12 lakhs, no revaluation reserve is explain kar diya, you will get marks. But then point number 1, point number 2 is important to explain in both the categories. Okay. Okay. Now let's see who gets another star because it's again a bonus question related to bonus shares. Read the question and raise your hands. That's becoming more interesting when you interact with me. Good. You can write in the chat box also. It's okay. Authorized share capital is given. Okay, Ram wants to try it out. All right.
Ma'am, as per the relevant provisions of Companies Act, a bonus share can be issued to a members from free reserves, security premium account, capital redemption reserve account, and it shall not be issued by capitalizing the reserves created by the revaluation of assets.
Very good.
It should also not be issued from the dividend. And the AOA has to be authorized,
Yes.
recommended by the board and in the general meeting, and it should not default the interest of FD and statutory default in the payment of statutory dues, and all the partly paid up shares should be fully paid.
Fully paid up. Very good. Very good.
That's all.
So this bonus issue of 1 share for every 2 share is fine?
That calculation part I do not know, but from the free reserves alone we can provide
Yes,
share. The
absolutely.
calculation part I do not know.
Yes, okay, not a problem. At least very good try. The manner and conditions that you have mentioned is absolutely correct, Ram. Very good. Good, well done. Okay, Rajveer says yes, we can issue fully shares 50 lakhs out of free reserves. Okay. So who is going to explain the numerical part? Raise your hands. Yes, there is sufficient balance. How can you say that, Shruti? Can you just explain this point? Lokesh, good answer. 1 share for every 2 shares to the existing shareholders. How will you solve this? Yes.
We have issued subscribed 10 lakh equity paid up share capital, and we have to issue 1 share for every 2 share held, which we have to 1/2. The
Very
equity
good.
share we have to issue is 5 lakhs, and the face value of the shares is 10 rupees, which comes to 50 lakhs. And the free reserve have 3 crores amount, so
3
we can
crores.
issue the
Very
shares.
good. Dhruti, if this figure was 30 lakhs instead of 3 crores, can we issue?
No, we cannot issue.
Very good. Excellent. Ram understood the point. So it is the issued share capital which has to be considered for this 1:2 ratio. The only confusing point is that authorized share capital is not to be considered while you're issuing the bonus shares. Krishna Goyal is now giving very, very authentic and beautiful answers. So that's great. One ka half, Rajveer Ray. Okay, good, Ram. Very nice. Good, Dhruti. Everybody, very well done. So this is the same answer. You can just go through the answer once. First, you'll give the provision, then you give the conditions, then you tell them that this is the way it has to be done once it has taken the decision, shall not withdraw it. Company shall not issue it in lieu of dividend, and once issuing, it is readily available with the company. The above condition relating to company issues one share can be done. Is that clear to everybody? Now, I want to have a good recap of questions with you for. So we have good amount of questions. Let's do certain MCQs now. Okay, are you ready for MCQs? Buzz around. Articles of Association of Private Company tells you that the company has issued preference shares with respect to the payment of dividend, but no preference for the repayment of capital in case of winding up. Is it possible for the company to issue such preference shares? No, as per section 43, preference shares would have both the preferences. No, this will become an equity share. Yes, 43 section preference shares should have any one preference. Yes, AOA and allows such preference shares, and issuing company is a private limited company. Can you have this? What is the correct option? Read all the options and then select. Krishna says A. What about others? Lukesh says B. Rajveer says A. Others? I'm waiting for your answers so that I can reveal the correct answer. Okay, Gayatri R is also answering now. That's great. Dhruti, okay. So it's absolutely clear that preference share capital refers to that part which carries preferential right. In case of a private company, if AO specifies such other provision, it will apply subject to section 92 and 137. अब आप बोलोगे मैम ये तो हमें बिल्कुल ही नहीं याद आने वाला एग्जाम में. So B is the correct answer, children, because there is specific conditions where AO allows such private limited companies to issue preference shares. All right. So D is the correct answer. Generally, it seems that yes, 43, you have both the preferences, but one of the exceptions, it's allowed to the private company, a startup private company, or the company which has been not defaulting in section 92 and 137. All right. Next question. Company wants to issue preference shares for a period exceeding 20 years for financing its infrastructure project. Can it do so? Can the company issue irredeemable preference shares by passing SR? Can the company issue for exceeding 20 years with CG's approval? Can they issue irredeemable preference shares? Can they issue for financing for a period exceeding 20 years? Good, Krishna Goyal. Rajvi, read it carefully. somebody saying A, somebody saying B. ध्यान से पढ़ो बेटा, ध्यान से पढ़ो. I want the correct options by all of you. Rajveer, now you have corrected the option. Everybody read it carefully. What was the tenure? 20 years maximum, and then it can go 30 years for infrastructure projects. आप ही ने तो मुझे बताया था. तो फिर ये इरिडीमेबल की तो कभी कोई बात ही नहीं हुई थी, ना ही सीजी की अप्रूवल की बात थी, ना ही इरिडीमेबल की बात थी. तो फोर्थ इज द करेक्ट ऑप्शन. Yes, company can issue for financing for a period exceeding 20 years. Correct, everybody? Correct, everybody? Let's move to the next one. Yes, maximum 30, but it can have more than 20, but not exceeding 30. But more than 20 is also for infrastructure, okay? All right, read the next one. Company has defaulted in 2 installments. Now they have cleared it. Can it issue the DVRs? Read very, very carefully. अब ऐसे questions में ना 5 years तो आपको पता है, तो इसको और इसको तो काट ही दो, पढ़ना ही नहीं है हमने. 5 years from the date on which default was made good, or 5 years from the end of financial in which default was made good? So C is the correct option. I don't know why you're giving A. पढ़ ही नहीं रहे हो, सिर्फ 5 years, 3 years, 7 years देखो और आंसर दे दो. तो ध्यान से पढ़ना है. 5 years from the end of financial year. 30th September 2019 को करा है, तो 31st March 2020 से ईयर एंड हुआ, वहां से काउंट करेंगे. क्लियर? ओके. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. It's a big question. Take 2 minutes to read it and then answer it. Only 2 answers. ध्यान से पढ़ने वाला क्वेश्चन है बेटा, लंबा क्वेश्चन है, इसीलिए टाइम दिया आपको. Okay. So what should be the correct answer? Who continues to remain the owner till they are registered, has the right to file the appeal. As a transferee, you have the right to file the appeal. Kashika and Vanchika have to file the appeal for neither Kashika or Vanchika authorized. ऐसा तो कुछ था ही नहीं. As per its discretion, NCLT may allow either Kashika or Vanchika to file an appeal against the company. So B is the correct option. Private company transferee may appeal to the tribunal where no notice of refusal has been received, and it shall be filed within 60 days from the date of intimation. Let's read the question once again carefully because many of you have made a mistake. Kashika, the originally allottee and owner of 1,000 equity shares, have transferred its shares, wanted to transfer the shares to her sister as gift, and she completed the transfer in all respects and delivered it 17 July 2020. However, the company has not registered within the expiry of more than 1 month, nor did it send the notice of refusal. The reminder to the company remained unanswered. Appeal has to be filed with NCLT against this failure. Who has the right to file the appeal? So Vanshika, the original owner, has the right to file the appeal within 60 days. If no notice has been received, then within 60 days, she can file the appeal. Now, this was one MCQ in which everybody has given wrong options. Maximum I have received B options. Only Krishna Goyal has selected B. Others were D and C. So now what went wrong over here? What went wrong? So if you get such kind of question in which you totally get confused. So I told you earlier also, children, the thumb rule is question padhne ke baad, think what should be the answer. Before reading the options given over there, just think for 1 minute, what should be the correct answer. What is he asking you? उसने क्या लिखा है आपको? उसने लिखा है, who has the right to file the appeal? So who has the right? Vanshika was the transferee. She was the owner of equity shares. She has the right. यही पढ़ा ना आपने, transferee has the right. So now when you know about this, so you know both Kashika, Vanshika and Kashika, A and C तो है ही नहीं. So toss has to be done between B and D options. B and D is again allowing either of them. Are you understanding? अगर मैंने पहले ही सोच लिया होता ना कि हाँ इसमें यार ट्रांसफरी अपील फाइल करेगा, आपने देखा समरी में वो आपको बताते भी ऑप्शंस. What are the correct answer? They have given you in the summary, na? That within 60 days, transferee will file an appeal if no notice has been received. Then I will just quietly think, एक ही ऐसा है point जिसमें transferee की बात कर रहे हैं. First, think what should be the correct answer in your mind. Then read the options of the MCQs. There will be very less chances of going wrong in that case. Because the options of the MCQs is there to make you get confused. So how you have to be strong enough not to get confused by learning from these kind of things, that we have to first frame the answer and then read the MCQs options. Okay, now this one is very, very simple. Sweat equity shares to 5 of its employees made beneficial for the company, for which employees who have been allotted cannot transfer. 1 year from the date, 3 years, 5 years, 6 months. Okay, Rajbir says 1 year. Again, Lokesh says 3 years. Refer your books and answer me. Ram says 3 years. अभी पढ़ा था हमने बेटा इसका. Sweat equity shares. Very good, Krishna. So what is the correct answer? 3 years. Have a lock-in period of 3 years. We did a question right now. You remember? 5 years दिया हुआ था उसमें. Everybody has given the correct answer now. Clear? While making an application to the tribunal for speaking confirmation in respect of extinguishing the liability of ₹3 per equity share, Methvi publishers want to file a certificate along with the application that the accounting treatment proposed for reduction is in conformity with the accounting standards. Advise the company who will issue such certificate. Any directors of the company as authorized by the board, a practicing CS is authorized to issue, auditor is authorized, legal advisor. Who will issue this kind of certificate for extinguishing its liability of ₹3 per equity share? Who will issue this certificate along with the application that the accounting treatment proposed for the reduction is in conformity? Yes, 1 year was the validity of SR. That's correct, Ram. Yes, children. Who will do the accounting treatment check in the company? Who comes and decides whether the accounting treatment has been followed properly? Company secretary check करता है क्या, Rajveer and Ram? Good, Lokesh. So the certificate has to be issued by the auditor of the company. अब ये कैसे याद आएगा? रिडक्शन ऑफ शेयर कैपिटल जब हम रिवाइज करते हैं तो हमने अब सोचना है कि व्हाट ऑल प्रोविजंस वी हैव स्टार्टेड ओवर देयर. So accordingly, you will be able to recall. So according to section 66, application for reduction will not be sanctioned unless the accounting treatment proposed by company for reduction is in this, and certificate has to be issued by the company's auditor. Chapter number 10 में हम पढ़ते हैं audit and auditors. So that auditor will come and he will give you a certification, and that has to be filed with the tribunal. Is that correct? Okay. 2 more MCQs, then I'll give you a small break for reading reduction of share capital and debentures because we have questions out of that also. Okay. Goals Limited, a listed company, has authorized share capital of 25 lakhs. They have planned to buy back the shares. The amount of equity shares that the company is allowed to buy back on the total amount of equity shares is 2 lakh, 5 lakh, 6 lakh, 25,000, 8 lakh. चलो जी बताओ मुझे buyback की क्या limit है? What is the limit for buyback? Very good, very good. Maximum limit of buyback is 25% of total paid up share capital and free reserves. So 25% करो, इसका calculate कितना आता है? How much we can do? You cannot go beyond 5 lakhs. That's what I'm thinking, Yogesh. The maximum should be 6,25,000 because if we do 25% of 25 lakhs, it comes out to 6,25,000 and the company wants to buy back say 10 lakhs. So it should be 6,25,000, the correct answer. All right, the correct answer is 6,25,000 for this one. All right, C is the correct answer. So it should be C. I'll make this change. All right, section 47. Anyone remembers what was section 47? So issued, subscribed, and paid up. Oh, okay. Wait, children. This is the authorized share capital, and in the bracket, it's given issued and subscribed and paid up share capital of 20 lakhs. देखो मेरे को भी गलत करा दिया अपना बोल कर ना 25% करो जरा 20 lakhs का कितना होता है? Yes, Rajveer and Lokesh. B is correct answer. See, you're going to make such kind of mistakes. Thank you, Gayatri, Krishna Goel, everybody, Ram, who have corrected the correct. Finally, the B is only the correct answer. Okay? It's okay. Okay, now let's do that. Section 47(1). Sarvodhya Urban Nidhi Limited has 14 crore and 6 crore as paid up equity and preference share capital. The balance in retained earnings is 2.4 crore. Equity share capital having a face value of rupees 10 each, while preference has face value of 100. Surya and Chandan own 11,20,000 and 5,60,000 shares. In context of resolutions placed before the company which directly affect the rights related to preference shares, the voting right of Surya and Chandan in percentage term may be, just calculate the percentages and let me know what should be the correct answer. 14 crores and 6 crores balance is in the retained earnings. Equity share capital has having face value of 10. Preference is having face value of 100. Divided by 10, divided by 100. Out of that, 11,20,000 is holding. 5,60,000 out of that. What will be the voting rights? Yes, children. C is the correct answer. Proportion of voting rights is in respect of proportion of paid up share capital. So you can do your calculations and you will find out C is the correct answer. 5% and 2.8%. All right, so I have still few MCQs and important case studies left for you. Just read section 66, reduction of share capital, section 68, buyback, and 71, debentures. Let's take a small 5 minutes break here. Okay. All right, students, welcome back. Let's have the last leg of the revision of share capital and debentures. We have almost completed all the questions and MCQs, but still we are left to revise the part of debentures. So one last MCQ, I wanted to all to answer it because you're still making mistakes in the MCQs. Now this is very, very simple one. ध्यान से पढ़ना. पहले आंसर सोच लो मन में कि क्या होना चाहिए, फिर ऑप्शंस पढ़ो. In a litigation, a share certificate issued in physical form, unlisted private company doesn't have a common seal. It shall be signed by two directors out of which one is MD. कभी ऐसा पढ़ा था आप लोगों? Two directors in CS or a director in CS. So what is the correct option? Now we all can see fourth is somewhat related. But if this is not the option, then two directors yours always there. So 1 and 4 seem something which is familiar to us. So B will be the correct answer. How many of you go with me for B? Well done. So that's the correct answer. Understood, students, how you have to frame the answers? Oh my God, one more MCQ I have for you. कितने हैं भाई? Okay, चलो एक और कर लेते हैं. Section 48 आपने कर लिया, 3/4 वाला अब आपको आता है अच्छे से. ये कर लो. And then be ready to answer my questions related to buyback of securities that I'm going to ask you. All right, for this, the correct answer is D, because duplicate certificates shall be issued in 3 months and within 15 days if it is a listed company. So, D is the correct answer. Correct. All right, let's do certain more questions. Section 61 you have done nicely. Debenture के ऊपर है, I have a question for you, and then I have buyback के ऊपर also. Okay, so before I open this buyback question number 23, I want to ask you certain questions. So the buyback of shares should be completed within how much time period? The buyback of shares should be completed within how much time period? 1 year of what? Dash or dash? 1 year of the board resolution or the special resolution. Once the buyback has been done, the original earlier shares should be destroyed in how many days? Seven days. Rajveer Krishna, good. Others still thinking? Okay, I gave you time for revising it. I gave you a small break and I told you revise section 68 because I'm going to ask you questions. Should have revised it. And next buyback cannot be done in how much time period? Achha, this we have done 1 year. The fresh issue cannot be done for how long? Fresh issue cannot be done in next 6 months. Very good, very good. On tips, Rajveer Ray, that's great. Which fund may be utilized for purchasing buyback of shares? Explain the provisions regarding which the company is prohibited to buy back. So both section 68 and 69 are being covered. So pay full attention. So funds to be utilized will be free reserve, SPA, and the proceeds of the issue of any shares. However, the buybacks cannot be done out of the earlier issue of same kind of securities. Means if I'm doing a buyback of equity shares, I need to issue preference shares and then I do buyback. I'm doing preference shares, I need to issue equity shares. ये नहीं कि same class of shares में से same buyback. Then section 70 says there are certain prohibitions. No company can purchase its securities through subsidiary company. Remember section 19? Subsidiary company cannot buy the shares of its holding company through its investment companies, and if default has been made in the repayment of deposits or dividends or these kind of things. So if you're already a defaulter, how can you think of buying back your own securities? First, you pay back to the outsiders and then you think about buyback. If the default has been made, and then what is the time period? 3 years. DVRs may it is 5 years should have lapsed from the end of the financial year. Here, 3 years has lapsed after the default ceased to subsist. 3 years, इसमें end of financial year नहीं बोल रहा, इसमें 3 years from the date the default was made, then the buyback is not prohibited. No company can purchase its securities unless it has complied with section 92, that is annual return, declaration of dividend, and 127 distribution of dividend and financial statements. Clear? So he has simply asked you about how the funds to be utilized and who is not prohibited, तो उतना ही answer देंगे. Now the next question is XYZ unlisted company has passed the SR on January 5th to buy back 30% of its own equity. AO empowers the company to buy back the shares. Earlier, the company has passed SR. The company decided that the payment will be made out of the proceeds of earlier issue of equity. Can the company's proposal is in order? And if the buyback date is revised to 5th January to 25th January, percentage of buyback is reduced from 30 to 25, keeping the source of purchase as above. So November 2019 examination question in front of you. We have done many questions related to May 2022 also today. So what will be the correct answer? So first of all, you will tell them that the company has passed SR, but it is proposing to buy back 30%. The buyback in any financial year should not exceed 25%. So this is not correct. AO should authorize the condition as per the section 68, subsection 2, clause A. AO has to give the authorization and SR needs to be passed. Now, since the company has passed the SR on 5th January, this is not valid as no offer of buyback has been made within a period of 1 year from the date of closure of preceding buyback. Company has further decided buyback out of the proceeds of company's earlier issue equity only. So you cannot do that. You're issuing equity only and you're buyback equity only. That is not possible. If the date is revised, the percentage is reduced, keeping the source, then the company's proposal is not in order because the buyback of any kind of securities cannot be made out of the earlier issue of same kind of securities. कहते डेट से कोई इतना फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. अब आप गड़बड़ कर रहे हो, सेम इशू ऑफ सिक्योरिटीज कर रहे हो एंड सेम बायबैक कर रहे हो, दैट इज नॉट पॉसिबल. Yes, Ram, no buyback done within 1 year. That is also a very important point to be mentioned over here. Understood, students? Now, who is a debenture trustee? First of all, you have to tell me. Time to revise debentures. So who is the debenture trustee? Anyone can raise their hand and tell me why a debenture trustee is needed or who can act as a debenture trustee. Somebody who is not in any near and dear relationship with the company will be considered as debenture trustee. So there are 5 to 6 points given in the book. Can you tell me any 2 points which you have retained in your mind and it is coming to your mind right now? Any 2 points that who cannot be a debenture trustee? Anyone wants to raise their hand? Can the person who is having a beneficial shareholder interest in the company, can he be appointed as the debenture trustee? Very good, Ram and Krishna Goel. Okay, he cannot be. A person who is a relative of any director, promoter or KMP of the company, can he be appointed as the debenture trustee? Okay. A person who is indebted to the company in cash or subsidiary of such holding company. If he is indebted to the company or its holding company, he is indebted. No, ma'am. Can the debenture trustee be paid the remuneration? Can any other money, excuse me, sorry, can any other money be paid by the company to the debenture trustee other than the remuneration? No, ma'am. Very good. No pecuniary interest. What is the meaning of pecuniary interest, Ram? What was the meaning of pecuniary interest? Having no pecuniary interest means 2% of gross turnover or total income of 50 lakhs, whichever is higher, lower of these figures in the preceding 2 years should not be the relationship that he's having with the company. Very well answered. So what are the provisions relating to debenture trustee and can following people be appointed? Can you tell me first of all, 1, 2, 3, can these people be appointed? 1, 2, 3 करके आंसर कर दो. Can these people be appointed? Okay, first yes. No. No. So yes, no, no is the correct answer. So debenture trustee, no company or prospectus shall be issued exceeding 500 for the subscription unless the company has appointed one or more. So you cannot issue a prospectus for inviting to the public exceeding 500 for debentures unless you have appointed the debenture trustees. Children, debenture trustee is a person who is appointed to take care of the security which is issued in lieu of debentures, because when you're issuing debentures, it is a kind of borrowing or a loan, and certain security is given for this kind of loan. So who will take care of the security tomorrow if you don't pay, the company does not pay the money of the debenture holders, then how the security has to be taken care of. So that's why debenture trustee is appointed. So secure debentures can also be issued. A written consent will be obtained from the debenture trustees for the appointment, and the statement has to be filed along with the subscription of debentures. Following persons cannot be appointed: beneficial shareholder, promoter director, or the relative, person who has certain money to be paid by the company, or the person who is indebted to the company, subsidiary or holding or associate, has furnished any guarantee in respect of the debt secured by the company. So if you have given any guarantee, then also you cannot be appointed. And this is your pecuniary relationship, better 2% or more of its gross turnover or total income, or 50 lakhs, or such higher amount as may be prescribed, whichever is lower. ये चारों में से whichever is lower during the 2 preceding years, this kind of relationship you should not be having with the company. Say for example, when you calculate this image, whichever is lower comes out to be rupees 2 lakh. So if you're having this limit of 2 lakh relationship of maybe giving or paying to this debenture trustee, then he cannot, for the last 2 years, then he cannot be appointed. Okay. If he's a relative of any promoter director, then also he cannot be appointed. So first you will give the definition of debenture trustee. You will tell them following categories are prohibited, and then on the basis of the first can be yes, cannot, and cannot. So yes, no, no was the correct answer. All right. Interesting. So how are you finding the revision? Are you finding it interesting? Are you able to revise your concepts? Is it giving you a conceptual clarity? Is it helping you to retain the information? Is it helping you to recall the things that you have learned? Are you able to revise the things nicely? Yes, tell me. Give me honest feedbacks and opinions. Very good. Ram says it helped me how to answer a question. Okay, thank you. Dhruti says very nice. That's great. All right, good. So are you geared up for 1, 2 more questions? Because we still have time. The reduction of share capital, we have done enough. Okay, let me give you a very easy question related to buyback. Two questions I'm going to do with you for buyback. Oh, that's nice. Ram says, now I find law simpler. That's great. Okay. Read this question number 20 and answer me. That's so sweet of you, Gayatri. But please do attend your live sessions also, children. I'm glad that you are enjoying the sessions and you are being so interactive. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. All right. Please read question number 20 and then answer back. A very simple question. So no and yes has come up. So London Limited at GM passed an ordinary resolution buyback 30% of the equity share capital. Articles empower the company for buyback. So whether the company's proposal is in order, what will be answer if it's only buying 20? So it's very clear. First, you simply have to write down how the buyback is done. SR is passed. 10% and free reserves have to be used. Buyback is authorized by board resolution. Also, 25% is the maximum limit. Therefore, company's proposal is not in order since an SR has been passed, but rather OR has only been passed. And instead of 30, if it is buying back only 20, then the proposal, then also SR is required. So the proposal, see, he's not passing the SR now. So ये भी ध्यान से पढ़ो बेटा. Ordinary resolution उसने pass करे तो दोनों में ही no is the correct answer. Reason being SR is important. So the last question of share capital and debentures revision is there in front of you on the screen. Krishna Goyal, Lokesh, Ram, everybody has given the good answer. Very good. Extend Limited has equity and paid up capital. This much reserve. Is SR required to be passed? What is the time limit? What should be the ratio of aggregate debts to the paid up and free reserve? Everybody should answer this last question because you have been a wonderful audience, interactive, and enjoying the session. So please answer this last one. Yes, absolutely, Rajveer. Your planning is absolutely correct. You must focus on writing RTPs, MTPs, and model. You have done the model test papers also. That's wonderful. And Rajveer, you're really responding well. So I can see the kind of preparation that's going on. But just be focused on your revision, okay? Don't get overconfident. And module at the last time will be fine to do. Okay? Okay, I'll interact with all of you for last 2 minutes. Let me just complete the answer for this one. So SR is required. Again, the buyback 10%. Time for completion is 1 year. And the aggregate debt ratio should not be more than 2:1. So the same you have to put over here. No SR is required because it is less than 10% limit. Time limit within a period of 1 year. And ratio will be again twice the paid up capital above buyback when packed with the AO authorization is absolutely possible. That's it from my side. So well in time, we have done this. Krishna Goyal, good. So yes, नहीं है, no है उसका because वो 10% से कम वाली limit पे fall कर रहा है. Okay, that's why we have not made this compulsory for them. So now at the last, if you still have any kind of questions or you want to ask anything? Any doubts, children? Yes, Ram.
Ma'am, can you help me in understanding the concept of paid up share capital and the calls in advance areas? Because as far as my understanding, when I am paying amount in stock, I'm getting the stock and full amount is paid. Then how
The
come the
calls
concept
in
of
arrears is the amount that I have called for, but you have not paid. This is basically your accounting concept when you go largely and understand over there. Theoretical part is if you have paid in advance, have not yet called for, then you have those three tiny sections that I showed you, na? Wahan pe 49, 50, 51. It simply tries to tell you about these only. One is uniform calls have to be made. If I'm calling from others 10, 10, 10 rupees, I cannot say that I will call 8 rupees from Ram. That is your uniformity. But if I've called 8, but still Ram has paid me 10, that is calls in advance. I've called for 8, but you paid for 6, then 2 rupees is the arrears.
okay, ma'am.
All right? All right. Okay, children, thank you so much. Thank you, Lukesh. I'm glad you enjoyed the session. That's wonderful. All right. I hope no more doubts and all the best for your exams. And I meet you on 22nd now. 22nd, we meet for acceptance of deposits and registration of charges. So be geared up to do chapter number 5 and 6 with me. All right. So we are done with the session. Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.